All right, everyone, I hope you're suited up. As you know, we always come in here. The point is that we're going to win the big game. That's always what we come here for, and we're going to do it again today.
I'm wearing my pads.
Okay. Good to hear. Always good to come prepared to a recording session.
I'm not wearing anything. I don't care that I get a concussion. You know, if I get ECT, that's a real man's disease.
I didn't know that streaker was actually a position you could play in a, like, American football team.
Yeah, it's like an intimidation thing. Like, they don't throw them out all the time, but it's something that you can do.
Is it like in hockey when they have, like, the guy who's only there to beat up people, and in football it's just you have the guy to make people really skeeved out and unfocused?
Right, exactly.
Come on, Fetterman. The kid's got a job to do. Again, remember, keep him off balance with a run.
Anyways, I hope you're keeping this all in mind. We don't want to hurt the coach.
Yeah, this is like a bunch of loading screen tips just turned into a cutscene.
Yeah.
Okay, men. We fought for our place at the table.
So, the two of them are running because there's a clip where he's doing this scene before, and he just throws it, and the people haven't moved yet, and so he almost, like, beans a guy with the fucking stool.
Is that like a classic Ditka move to throw a stool for no reason?
He's known for being a very angry man. Or maybe passionate is one of the words you could use for it.
I'd say on the edge.
Yeah, you know, that's probably
I think
right.
the coolest thing about this game is that it's presented like it's the Super Bowl, but this looks like a high school football game.
It's a little bit of a smaller field. And it's probably college, you know, let's give it college at least.
Do you think if you're friends with Mike Ditka, like sometimes he just sent you a note saying, don't show up to the chair shop tomorrow, you're cool?
I hope so. Anyways, welcome to Quarterback Attack with Mike Ditka for the Sega Saturn.
Okay, oh, so you're not gonna play on like the arena football skill level?
No, there's a number of levels. Semi-Pro is the second best, and I'm playing with the lowest amount of time because they'll let you play a full 60-minute football game, but I don't think anyone actually needs to sit through the 60-minute football game.
Oh, you're such a freaking millennial, Chirps. Oh, I want my football now.
That's right.
Well, the problem is Chorps doesn't know any of the rules to football.
That's not true. I know quite a bit about football.
All
For
right.
example, you should throw the ball up the field so that you can get points.
If you love football so much, why don't you tell me your 5 favorite rules?
1, you're allowed 1 streaker on the team.
Okay.
Number 2, you can pass the ball forward, but you can't lateral a ball forward.
Oh, it's Chorps! He's on the field!
Wow.
Yeah, so, I guess we should talk a little bit about this before we get back to rules. Quarterback Attack is an FMV first-person football game where you play as the quarterback for an undescribed team going for the big game.
Coached by Mike Ditka.
Is this game made by the same developers who made that basketball game for the Saturn?
Yes, so not only did they make Slam City with Scottie Pippen, they are also Digital Pictures, the creators of all of your favorite, like, console FMV games, like Corpse Killer, Night Trap.
I see.
Yeah. And so this is done... Madden has his own line of games. Mike Ditka is probably at the time, probably the second most popular football personality who was around.
I guess so, like, as, like, a non-player.
Right, yeah, like, if you're not doing, like, a Ken Griffey Jr.'s baseball, I think that the person you would get is probably Mike Ditka.
What was it even with, like, American football's, like, most popular people not even being players? Because John Madden didn't play, right?
No, John Madden was a previous player. He just became a commentator, and that's when he got popular.
Okay.
It's kind of the same with Mike Ditka. Like, he was on a Super Bowl winning team, but his biggest accomplishments were in coaching.
I mean, like, I think it makes sense for Madden, because, like, he's like the guy at every football game. He's Mr. Football.
Right. He's talking about every football game.
Yeah. Do you think, like, his corpse is still there, like, on the field?
I mean, they keep, like, it's, like how, for Passover, you have to leave a place open for the Holy Spirit. It's kind of like that with John Madden. You kind of leave a place open at the commentator's booth.
Oh, I thought it was more like a cadaver synod, like, experience.
Oh, no. They have more respect for him than that. Mm-hmm. He's the only person they respect on the field.
Oh yeah, they just put his corpse there and everyone just has to walk around it.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Right next to Jimmy Hoffa's.
Now that's how you play pro.
John Madden's corpse is actually used to determine the line of skirmish, so...
Right? But so, yeah, in this game, you have all of the basic functions of a football game, right? You can pass, you can run, you can punt, you can do a field goal. It's just all presented in FMV in a way that I think, like, masks a lot of the issues, inherent with sort of like an FMV game. They have a lot of versions of plays and defenses being recorded that can be played over every iteration of every play.
God, how many days of filming do you think this took?
Probably a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's also, like, weirdly more of kind of an immersive sim in comparison to Madden games. Like, you saw in the last play, like, if they're in the middle of their run and they haven't turned around to note that they can catch the ball, they will just, like, you'll hit them in the back and you'll just, like, miss the pass that way.
Right. It's also a bit of an immersive sim because you can, like, pick up, like, boxes of ammo out of, like, drawers and stuff.
Right. Also just, like, I don't know, like, it feels weirdly elaborate, like, the fact that you can choose, like, how your backfield plays, like, the customization of your individual plays is huge.
There you go. Yeah.
I also do appreciate that you just get random scenes all the time in between plays. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the big sell of this.
Like, the amount of, like, extras you would have to have for, like, this stadium seems, like, kind of immense, and I'm wondering if maybe they are just, like, cardboard cutouts, because you can't tell with the compression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, like, they have, like, full teams and coaches. They have a ton of people, like, in the staff that are working. They have a mascot.
Right, and Mike Ditka's here.
Yeah, and Mike Ditka's here. You also, like, get to view the defense, like, when you're doing the look around before you snap the ball, you're looking and you're trying to figure out, like, which sides are more defended than others, and the AI will adapt to sort of how you're playing if you do consistently, like, the same run over and over. It's, like, surprisingly in-depth for a sport that I think largely very simple versions have been made. Like, Madden is very accessible in comparison to something like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, it sounds like it's actually, like, fairly, like, intricate and, like, sort of complex in a bit, but I guess my question then would be, does it actually feel good to play?
It's a little hard to get used to, but I think that it does get you into sort of a groove. And it, again, enough happens that, like, changes up how you play. Like, you see that sometimes, like, people will just rush through your defense and try to sack you, and you do move around in that section to avoid people sacking you. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of interactivity in a way that feels very surprising for, again, the type of product this is.
I really like to imagine that, like, all football players have this sort of HUD inside their helmet that tells them, like, the score and, like, the time left.
Yeah.
Right, maybe in the future. But Mike Ditka actually has, like, a couple other football games that came out. There's one for Genesis, and there's also one for PC that, like, also simulates, like, injuries on field. Like, you run a whole season and, like, players will get injured and they'll say, you're out for X number of games. Like, in a weird way that, again, I don't think is, like, particularly popular for contemporary titles, but is, like, very interesting as, like, a comparison to Madden.
Yeah, it seems very, like, a Gran Turismo compared to, like, a Forza Horizon.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so I guess as a further explanation, so you have, on the Saturn, it's a 6-button. 5 of those buttons allow you to send to the 5 different people you can pass to, so you're red, green, yellow, blue, and orange in the play markers. And so you swap through them to figure out who's, like, available and who's being defended. And then this happens when you get a touchdown.
That chicken has a concussion.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's out for the rest of the season, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to ask Jerps, like you hadn't really been scoring at all. I thought American football was supposed to be one of those games where you score, like, every 2 minutes.
You certainly can. It's kind of difficult with this game, especially just because it's very variable. And also playing 16-minute games means it's only 4 minutes per quarter, which just gives you a lot less time to sort of go back and forth. I like it, though, because it kind of prioritizes playing very well. Like, it's almost like a roguelike. It's not so much like a football game where it's sort of like you're just trying to figure out the most optimal way to get to the ending.
Right, and you get, like, the randomized power-ups, too.
Right. And then you have a halftime talk depending on how well you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Ditka's like, I'm giving you the Ditka vision. You now have 3 chairs you can throw at your opponents.
Right.
Don't let those guys get their hands on you. Man, I know we got a rookie in charge. This kid's really got the stuff. So it's up to the rest of us to get behind him. So we're gonna do it?
It would be really cool if Mike Ditka just started using your full name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way, like, this is cut makes this feel like this guy is going through, like, 12 different rants every 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, they had to remove a lot of racism between each of these cuts.
So I figure all those clips are, like, dynamic depending on how you've been doing.
Yeah, like if you're getting sacked a lot, he has a thing about it. If you're not completing enough passes, depending on if you're, like, super beating them, he has, like, different things that he says as well. Like, it's all very interesting how many variables there are to this.
Is there, like, a sequence where he just gets increasingly red and increasingly just squeezing tighter onto a stool?
Yeah.
Good work, kid.
If you do bad enough, he just starts, like, breaking stools over his head.
Slowly raises it more and more over his head, coming closer to you.
Oh yeah, there should be, like, a Ditka-ometer.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. That just shows, like, your approval rating with Mike Ditka.
Okay, so I've been looking at Mike Ditka here, and I gotta be honest, I don't think this is the real guy. I just think they got Emilio Estevez.
No, he's real.
What happens when the opponents have the ball?
Oh wait, here's rushing! Here's rushing!
God.
Oh shit.
So there's another first-person minigame if you can rush. You saw it a couple other times that I tried to rush and immediately got hit. It's, again, also very variable about sort of like the state of the defense, whether or not you can get through. But there where you see an opening like that, you can get through, and it does the same sort of thing where people just sort of jump at you and try to tackle you, and you can dodge them like this.
Yeah, also, it's not called getting hit, it's called getting sacked. Mm-hmm. Get it right.
Well, no, it's only sacked if you get hit before you start running.
If I were ever to play on a football team, I want to be the position that just does nothing but doing, like, fucking frog splashes at people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I want to be, like, the NFL Blitz guy that does, like, body slams after a play's done.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to be, like, any actual part of the game. I just want to be brought up to do, like, a stupid touchdown dance when someone makes a touchdown.
Right.
So you're the chicken that jumps into the bar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of stupid touchdown dances in this one.
You're a loser.
Oh.
That's all you are.
Oh.
Damn.
I'm gonna admit it, I don't think that that's, like, legal. I feel like that counts as some sort of, like, interference.
Yeah, like unsportsmanlike behavior.
Yeah.
like you're gonna get HR to just come on down in the middle of a game, grow up.
And that's what a referee is, yeah. But, Jay, you asked a little earlier what happens on defense. Basically, this game understands that you don't want to play defense. So defense is effectively a set of random clips that show their way going down the field. Again, very random whether or not they score, but they'll always end in a score, a field goal, or a punt. You never have, like, an interception. You never have, like, a turnover on downs.
Hey, you keep controlling the ball, rookie. You just might have another season the quarterback.
Oh, this is gonna be a long LP series.
Yeah, like, the way it looks is almost like, it feels like there should be, like, a season program to it, where, like, you start fights with the other quarterback, depending on if you're doing too good and you take his place at starter. But unfortunately, no, it's just single games.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been so cool if they tried to, like, color correct, like, the opponent, like, footballers.
Yeah.
Oh, they should have been wearing, like, a green uniform so they could, like, green screen whatever you wanted onto them.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see just, like, with all of the different, like, positions you can throw to, like, they have multiple separate clips for each person. Like, there's a lot of footage that has gone into this in, like, kind of an impressive way. Also, so this game came out on Saturn and PC, but also someone bought the rights to this and Double Switch for mobile. And as far as I can tell, the mobile has, like, as HD quality cutscenes as you can get, but also is just, like, impossible to play.
Because you have to, like, slide your finger around to move the quarterback, or...
I wasn't able to tell because I didn't want to spend $5 to find out when all of the reviews for it are just like, yeah, it just freezes in the middle of games and you can't actually, like, complete a pass. So I was like, oh, okay. So it sounds like it's just completely broken, like they didn't even port it at all.
Well, given the track record, I'm sure, like, limited run games will put out, like, an $80 copy of this for the Switch.
I'll buy it. But another feature that I find really interesting that I don't think shows up in other contemporary titles is audibles. When you're about to take the ball for a play, you can use 5 of the face buttons to swap to a series of kind of like pre-set up plays that you can swap between depending on how the defense looks, you know, other variables as you kind of pan along the view. And it's really fascinating. So you're allowed to assign them yourself. You can see that when we're picking a play. I didn't do that because it takes forever. But, like, you can have, like, a customized playbook, more or less.
Man, it's a shame that the Saturn didn't have, like, a microphone peripheral for this.
Yeah, like, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, is there, like, a microphone or something where I can yell into it? Like, you know, like a proto, like, C-Man microphone? But no. It's just for, you know, before you start the play.
I was just about to say, wasn't there one, but I think I was thinking of that Lifeline game, and I think that wasn't until, like, Dreamcast PS2 or something.
That was PS2.
Yeah.
You're lucky you got that one off. Next time, your hamburger.
Again, I really appreciate how many different scenes there are. Like, that one's for if you were almost sacked, basically. And then all the ones for successful completions, unsuccessful completions, like either it's, you know, one of your teammates going like, it's all good, or the other one that goes where he just tells you you're a loser.
Honestly, like, I see so much potential in this, and I just want a sequel where, like, it has, like, I don't know, like, visual novel elements where, like, you have to build relationships with each member of your football team, and Mike Ditka, of course.
Right,
Yeah.
like kind of like the WWE story modes, like the modern ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Because, like, yeah, like, they clearly have a lot of footage. Like, you can see that when you do all these different plays, you're at different points on the field. Like, they've put in a lot of work for a game that is basically just a one-game, like, season of football. It's very weird.
Yeah. Like, it really feels like... holy shit. really feels like a game with like a really cool premise in how it's executed, and if it was like expanded out into having an actual like career mode, it could be really cool. But I would also just imagine just how incredibly cost prohibitive that would have been.
Right, like, this, I feel like, is more of what would be good in sort of those, like, new, like, NFL 2K games as the story mode. Like, with a more expanded out, more expanded out scope.
Yeah.
I don't think they make 2K anymore, Chirps.
What's the equivalent these days?
Madden.
No, but it's got like is it just like 20 and 22? I thought they had like another indicator for what the series was.
No, it's just Madden.
Okay. Well, they should do this for Madden then.
Yeah, they just call it Madden Modern Life now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just took out all the football.
They do have to put a little rest in peace on all of them, though, next to Madden's name as they continue to use it.
Yeah, it's just like a 12-hour story mode about hanging out with Jake from State Farm.
Right. God, that's so cool. They should put him in this game.
They should.
There's another one where you can see that he turns, so he's not ready to catch, and you throw it and it just hits him in the back of the head. Again, the considerations, unbelievable in this game. But yeah, I don't know, like, it also seems like it's kind of a shame that sports video games have sort of coalesced into just a single, like, franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a competitor to Madden that is more, like, immersive and, like, kind of in-depth, I think is something that would be appreciated.
Yeah, like, that's always been a weird thing about sports games just in general. Like, I feel like sports games just overall are very much focused more on the simulation aspect, but I've always been kind of fascinated whenever I've seen a sports game try to make, like, a campaign, like, a story, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It very rarely actually properly pans out. I mean, I still remember that. I think it was NBA 2K thing that had a campaign written by Spike Lee that was a fucking mess.
Yeah, the one where you're, like, powered by a ghost or whatever. Like, a ghost haunts you.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's always fascinating to me.
Like, the FIFA games have been, like, fairly well-received with their story mode, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but also only Europeans play those.
Yeah. And also, everyone who plays those is also bankrupt buying cards so they can get a shiny Ronaldo or something.
Yeah.
Why'd you take a timeout? Did you have to go to the bathroom?
No, so here's the weird thing about the timeout. You'd think, like, oh, maybe you get to talk to Mike Ditka a little more. He's like, you're doing great, buddy. Get it going. All it does is it stops the timer. So basically, like, as you get close to the end of the game, if you really want to think about what play you want to do to try to get to a touchdown, that's what you do. Like, it's a shame. I feel like it's another opportunity for more cutscenes that they didn't put it in.
The way, like, there is the smear before you throw just makes me think your character is turning, like, 180 degrees and throwing in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So, when you beat the game, depending on your difficulty and how well you did, you get a different cutscene, and this one's the most insane.
All game for this.
She kissed your eyeball.
You can feel to be the king, my man.
Hey, kid, you better concentrate on football. You ain't reached the top yet.
Like, this one, it's because you can go, it's like amateur, high school, college, pro, semi-pro, and pro. And I went semi-pro specifically because it has this cutscene, and it's just very strange to me.
Of course you would go for that cutscene.
It's just a weird wish fulfillment sort of thing that it's just like, why'd you put this in?
So if you beat it on the hardest difficulty, is it Mike Ditka that kisses you?
Yeah.
I like to imagine, like, on the high school difficulty, like, they try to, like, de-age all the players to make it look like it's high school.
Right, it's like in Captain America, where it's like, it's just the regular head on, like, a tiny body.
It's like both Captain America and the Irishman.
Right, yes. But yeah, so at the end you also get like a rating for how well you do as a QB, and it's weighted towards your difficulty. So pro, it's 1-to-1, and then they start cutting you really hard. But you can like save scores and stuff on this, so it's very much like a score attack game in a way that's like, again, it's kind of sad. There's a lot of cool ideas and footage in here that would make for a more interesting campaign, but I think that the scope was not there on the Saturn.
Yeah.
Like, already the compression makes it seem like there's barely enough space for the footage as is.
Yeah, they had like a huge open world plan, but then they heard the Saturn was only going to be around for 2 years.
Right.
Right, you run around like in Sonic's Extreme with like a fisheye lens.
Oh, that'd be so cool. You could put on the football helmet and just take on the world in the biggest game of football you've ever seen. The entire open world.
So that was great. I've literally understood about 10% of the things that you said because I know absolutely nothing about football.
Oh yeah, me too.
No, don't worry. Next time we'll do the real football.
Rugby.
Anyways, you see those mountains? You can spike a touchdown there.